I appreciate y'all both for taking the time this evening. I think this episode is definitely unique because I've never talked to anybody that that does staging, and it's definitely as beautiful as y'all do it. So if you don't mind, tell the audience a little bit about yourselves and what y'all do.
Sure.
Sure. All right, you can get started. You can
Okay.
tell the background.
Well, I'm Mike Jacks. It's my wife, Christy. We've been married for quite a while. We have 4 kids. Um, Before we really started all this, I was in the restaurant industry forever, and she was in marketing and then also
Sales.
sales. So that's kind of how we met. And after having so many kids and working in the restaurant industry,
So
and
many.
yeah, so many kids, and being in the restaurant industry, it's really not conducive to each other. So
Yeah.
I would work a lot of late nights, and it was getting more and more difficult with every child. So after two or
Two.
three, Christy basically told me that I had to find something else to do.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm a pretty handy guy. And so I started a company where I was doing handyman services and also I was doing interior painting.
Mhm.
That one thing led to another. Once I start working on people's homes, they asked me to do more, um, from, fixing a broken tile to next thing I know, I'm replacing
The entire
vanities and
kitchen.
toilets. And then
Yeah.
I replaced their whole kitchen and everything else. And so it just kind of, it was a
Snowballed. Yeah.
snowballed or
Yeah.
a domino effect, really. So after several years doing that,
Yeah. And I've been in marketing. I've stayed in marketing. I have a consulting business that I do for companies, and I work from home. So when COVID struck, it kind of like everything worked out because Mike was more at home as well. So then when he would pull me into these jobs, he would be like, I have no idea what to do in this kitchen. Anyways, we'd start working together and we were like, we could do this on a bigger scale.
yeah,
So then we just kind of started doing a little bit of research, and he used to flip properties and live in them when he was in like his 20s.
yeah,
So we were like,
Okay.
let's just
yeah,
take a look around. Let's just see. And so we got our first one. And after we started, I mean, it was just like probably most people, it was a disaster. Like you walked in and it was like just ceiling falling in, the floors, there's holes, and you're just like, how are we going
how
to
are we gonna make this
do this?
beautiful?
Yeah. And then after we finished that first one, and we were just like, oh my gosh, like this is so beautiful. I mean, we've just been hooked ever since. And we just keep buying, and it's so much fun now. But you
Mhm.
got to get through that first one. That first one
The
is
first
like,
one's the hardest one,
it's the hardest one.
or
Yeah.
the second one. That's hard too.
What makes it so hard?
Um,
Learning who to
Learning,
surround yourself with, I think.
yes, surrounding yourself with the right people, the right tradesmen. Um, we had some really good luck in the very beginning with some of the guys that we hired to help us out, but then later on, maybe those guys didn't show up again. They overpromised, underdelivered.
Yeah.
And we primarily do all our flips in the city of St. Louis. So any
Okay.
mechanical, electrical, plumbing, all has to be done by licensed contractors. You just,
Yeah.
because everything has to have a permit and everything gets inspected. Well, some people, they might have a license, but they're not good at their jobs.
Yeah.
And so you find out the hard way. And then also that costs you money too, going down the wrong road with people. So that was a challenge.
Yeah. And I think with COVID too, I mean, this year, as kind of everybody's been struggling with this, is materials are delayed.
Oh
The
yeah.
city has put us on so many restrictions, and then the paperwork is 6 to 8 weeks out. And then
Wow.
our contractors that we work with, and the plumbers, like they're so busy. Everybody's getting home repairs and getting work done. So it's just been kind of figuring out, like putting that team in place, even from our real estate team, who, I mean, I talk to on a regular, like at least once a day. We're talking to, looking for new properties, making sure we have the right people in the right places has been a challenge, but we're getting there. It definitely takes time.
It does take time to build up.
Yeah, because I just talked to interviewed a contractor yesterday. He's a flipper and a contractor. So he kind of throughout the conversation we had a switch. He's like, "Is that a contractor question? Is that a real estate investor question?" And one of the things that when I asked him from the contractor side, I said, "Hey, a lot of times the relationship between a contractor and a investor is like, hey, you gonna screw me over? You gonna screw me over? Are you gonna deliver? You gonna deliver?" And he's so one of the biggest things is like putting 50% down, or some contractors would say, I won't take more, less than 50% down. And investors are like, I don't want to give that much. And so I was like, hey, what can the contractor and the investor do to where they both trust each other and bind it? And he was like, well, he said, do a contract. He says, it doesn't matter if you put 90% down or 30% down. If you have a contract where you specific, details of what you want done, then that still kind of binds them, that binds, each other really to it. And so I never thought about that because, yeah, if I give 90%, because, they may need materials, if I have you to that contract, then I can, hold you. Obviously, right, if they don't deliver, then I still got to go through the rigmarole of, going to court and stuff like that. But at least I have something to protect me. But that has been frustrating for us as well. We've only been able to get people to do one-offs. And then for some people, for the bigger projects, it's pretty much micromanaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So after I get off of work, I'm going to the spot. Okay, hey, this wasn't done right. And then they have to do all stop. And it's like, hey man, I thought we were clear. Like, float the wall. Don't just paint over bad patches on the wall.
Oh yeah.
So I can imagine with Flip, it's like that. Say again?
I've walked in, well, even to my husband, where I'm like, what? I told you to do this. I mean.
Oh yeah, there was a day that I was not there. Most days I'm on the job site.
Yeah.
And I'm not there all the time because we have multiple jobs going. So I float between multiple jobs. One day the electrician was there and he decided to hang, or where he was going to put the lights going down the steps, where he was going to do the outlet for the wall sconce. Anyway, where he put it was not where Christy wanted it at all. But we were already so far along in the project, there was no changing it. I wasn't going to reopen the wall and move the electric and do all these other things. And
it was in the middle of the wall, though. I mean, like your wife, she would be like, what? It was in the middle of the wall. Like it should have been on the ceiling. So then, we figured it out. We added a sconce and it was very pretty. But it's types of things where you have to, he's there all the time. But the one time he wasn't there, it was like,
he was
just like,
what they were
didn't
thinking.
have time to wait for him and just started drilling holes. And I mean, like you got to be on top of it. So this time we've got a couple flips going and we're having, we're designing the kitchens and I'm putting in the electric where I want it, the light outlets where, like we're learning, the more we do this, like we're making it so easy. There's
it's almost foolproof.
Yeah, it's foolproof.
Almost.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can mess it up.
Yeah. It's always almost foolproof.
Yeah.
And so that was the question I was going to ask too. When it comes to your flips, what are some maybe signature things y'all do or things y'all like to focus on when it comes to flips that kind of can uplift the ARV?
Sure. I mean, of course, obviously we're going to do bathrooms and kitchens. We're going to put most of our money there. But our flips, we're a little bit different than most people. So let's rewind 3 or 4 flips ago. When we really first started, it was cosmetic, so let's say we got a hold of a condo. We might replace the floor, put new carpeting and paint the walls and call it a day. Maybe replace a toilet or the vanity, something very, very cosmetic, something that Chris and I could basically do ourselves other than laying the flooring and the carpeting and whatnot. But now, fast forward a little bit, what we're doing, especially because we're down in St. Louis City where some of these houses are easily 100, 110 years old. And some of the wiring hasn't been updated since the beginning of time. Same with plumbing, whatnot. So what we have to do, we go in and we bring everything down to studs.
Okay.
We bring all the plumbing, all the electric. Sorry for the background noise.
You said you have 4 kids. So I understand.
We're playing soccer down there and then they just got a little rowdy. So mom had to go down and break all that up. Anyway, so we bring everything down to studs. So when we are finished, it is a brand new house in a 100-year-old shell. So if there's different categories of new construction versus then like a C1, C2, or whatever, however they call the classification, we're just below new construction. So we basically keep the foundation and we mainly buy brick homes. So then we have the brick tuck pointed on the outside, so it's nice and secure. We put in the new roof. There's not a single part of a house that we don't touch. And in the St. Louis City, they make us bring in a new water line because of like what was going on in Flint, Michigan with the red lines and everybody getting sick. Well, in St. Louis too, all the water lines are lead. So I don't even wait for the city to tell me to do it. I just replace the water line. So for us, I'm looking for a particular property that has to be, I, I have to find a property that is in an area that has been so neglected that nobody wants to touch it. And that's the perfect property for me. So like the last house that we bought, it happened the day we took possession, it was raining. It was raining so hard when we walked inside, it was raining in the house because there was a huge hole in the roof and I didn't realize it when we bought it and it was just pouring down. So basically the very first thing we do to all houses, they get re-roofed. So then from there on, we know everything is nice and dry. So I was just basically saying how we
Kind of
take
go
up,
way
we go
beyond where we
way
need to
beyond
do.
where we need to be. So a lot of St. Louis flippers, they just go in and they just do the cosmetic flip. We're the polar opposite.
They do as little work as possible to, I mean, it's all about the return and we get that, but
Yes.
we are kind of building a brand and we want people that see and know our houses to say, oh, everything will be done. We won't have to worry about anything. All the plumbing will be replaced, electric, like a safe house for the kids, the family. Like that's kind of our MO. Like we want whatever we do to be somewhere we would live with our children, you know?
And that's why I asked what was your signature thing, because when I looked at your pictures, it looks like it's more than just a flip. It looks like a new build almost.
Yeah.
It's basically a new build.
And I guess you could say that is our signature now.
It kind of, well, and yeah, we have 2 other properties going and they're both down to the bare bones, to the studs. You can pretty much see through most of the
you
walls.
walk in, you walk in, you can see straight through the back of the house.
Why can't we buy something not so intense? I don't know. I think we like it.
I think we like it. Yeah, and also there's a lot of properties that you buy. So, once you open up a wall, you never know what you're going to find.
Yes.
Faulty plumbing, faulty wiring, people doing the wrong splice, whatnot. Well, it came to our attention after doing this for a while that we didn't want to be, I guess, morally responsible. If something happened, God forbid, to one of our properties after we sold it to somebody, let's say faulty wiring, whatever, I can't have that on me. So what we do, we just rip it all out because a lot of times the property's knob and tube. I don't know if you run into that where you guys are, but it's the oldest form of wiring out there.
I have a house that's 1901.
Yeah. So then you know what I'm talking about. So we just basically it is a new build. You're right.
And so earlier you said something about it seemed like you were referring to some type of chart where you said new construction C1, C2. Can you explain that to me? I never heard that before.
Yeah, it was a term that an appraiser was giving me because we did a house so well last year that it was the most expensive house on the street when we priced it. And if it sold for that price, it was going to, what was it, 30,000, 40,000 over every single other home value in there. So it was under contract. We got 5 over ask what we were wanting, which was great. We sold it in 1 hour, which is fantastic.
Which is not
realistic. You put it on you put on the MLS and you sold it an hour later?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they had already been pounding on the door, like trying to get in before we even listed it. We were like, hey.
Yeah, no, we were hosting an open house the following day. And
Yeah.
I was there. We were there doing
just
finishing
preparing.
touches.
Yeah.
Just making it really special. And then they knocked on the door, and next thing you know, an hour later,
Yeah.
contract came over.
It was pretty awesome. We were very lucky.
But their appraiser was having trouble, appraising it for finding the comps in the area.
Yeah, this is true.
To support that. So basically what she said, she's like, okay, you have new construction, new build. Let's call that C1. She's like, you are just the level below a C1. So let's just call it a C2. I might not even be saying that right, but that's what the term she was using. And since then I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. That best describes what we do. We are a new build, we are new construction, but it's just in a shell that's 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so how long does it usually take you to do that? I can imagine that since you're not doing the basic cosmetic flip, it takes a little bit longer, or y'all are able to still kind of do a flip in, let's say, 40 days?
No, it's 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Especially now because City of St. Louis,
we're shut back down.
Yeah, they're shut back down now. So the permit office is shut back down. So anything that would normally take, let's say I wanted to build a deck. and I bring them my plans. That should be stamped in 3 days. Not anymore. It's 3 weeks. So let's say I need to replace a engineered beam or something along those lines. Well, that's 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous right now.
So
Yeah.
anything, I mean, because the inspectors and the people that approve these plans, they can't be in the same office with each other. So the paperwork has to go from one department to the next department. So it just takes forever.
So what used to take 3 to 4 months for us is now taking, 5 to 6, which stinks, but you just kind of have to roll
That's
with
just
it.
how it is now.
And so, I mean, has that hurt y'all in any way? It just kind of just slows things down, as far as like you're keeping your team consistent, or I guess loyal to y'all. Like, hey, work is not as consistent.
Well, we have more than one house going, so we're keeping like everybody's staying busy.
Yeah.
So we've got right now 4 properties. One's, ready to go and is for sale, and then the other 3, the 2 are shells, and then the other one's for a client. So basically, that's gonna be down to a shell though too.
Yeah,
We're just about ready to start
that.
that.
So that's gonna start late November, early December. So just yesterday, our demo team finished one of our properties. I have him working on removing some trees and stuff like that from another property. So in another week, I'll just move him over and his crew to the next property. So they'll start demoing that out, and that typically takes them 2 weeks to do.
2 weeks of demo.
Yeah, for the most part. One, it's hard work, and then if you run into asbestos, then you got to stop, and then you got to get the
Who knows how long that would take right now? My goodness.
I know. So you got to bring in the right people to remove that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Did not know that either. So after you do the flip, it looks like y'all do your own staging.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you explain to me how y'all got into that? Who do y'all go through to get the staging? Great designs, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, if you could break that down, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I have always loved to decorate. And once I started with some of the clients that Mike was using, they've started asking me to help them like design their house, or like, when we're renovating the kitchen, we're looking at the living room, and she's like, let's start here. Anyway, so it was just kind of the same deal as our flips. They all started with these clients. And then I actually started purchasing, well, to be honest, our first flip, we pretty much cleared out our living room.
Yeah, we used all our own furniture.
Yeah. All our own we had like a chair left. The kids were like, where'd all our stuff go?
We had no couch. We had no, I mean, the bedroom furniture, one of our kids lost a mattress that day. We brought his whole bed over there because we needed a twin bed.
We're like, give us a city bag, you're fine.
Yeah, you'll just sleep with mom and dad for a while. And and that's kind of how it started. And we
just started building from there, and now we have a warehouse, full of stuff. And even I'll look on Facebook. I mean, we're on Craigslist. Like, we'll just go out if we find inexpensive stuff. Like, while we're out, we've just started building it. So now we're staging for people. But I think we get the most attention from our flips, from the way they look in the pictures. People are like, wow. And that's where we're getting the most feedback and the most like referrals for staging and doing additional client work.
Yeah, because they want their house to look.
Yeah.
How our house looks.
Yeah.
And so do you have you been approached by anybody that owns Airbnbs? Because I know Airbnb's staging furniture is like really big. Is Airbnb's big in St. Louis?
They are big. Yeah.
Our real estate team, it happens to be 2 twin sisters and their mother. Their mother has been in real estate for, let's say, 25, 30 years or whatever, as a broker. Now primarily, and she's flipped over 100 houses in her time. But now she's all Airbnb. That's all she does. And I can't even tell you, I've lost count of how many they have, but they that's her primary source.
Business.
It's primary source of income for her.
Yeah.
So it's really big. I mean, we thought about doing it ourselves.
Yeah, we haven't been approached by anyone doing Airbnb specifically
to stage it.
To specifically stage it. Just more of just for sale houses, just staging it temporarily.
Also, it would have to be short term as well. I don't think we could have any of the furniture out there for more than 60
No, but we
days.
could use their furniture.
Oh yeah, we could always
Yeah.
use their furniture as
And
well.
really, we haven't
But-
marketed ourselves like that. So maybe if we changed up our marketing, we probably could hit a whole new back. I've never even thought of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't
But-
either.
Great.
I'm pretty sure you would make a good penny because like that's the thing that captures people. They go on their phone, like, looking through Airbnbs. Okay, St. Louis. Wow, this looks
You're right.
beautiful.
You're right.
Oh man, click. You know,
Who
because it's the shiny factor.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of what I think go for. If you look at our pictures, I don't know if you saw Rosa is our featured like flip right now. That's the one.
brick, the white brick.
Yes. It's kind of like the pictures turned out so well. Our photographer is amazing, but it's like that bright, shiny factor for sure. You scroll through 63116 in St. Louis, it's like dark, dark, dark.
Yeah,
because that's never a style I thought I would be interested in, but y'all made it look so unique and appealing.
Oh my gosh, the
Like a
neighbor
castle.
hated it.
Oh,
they
the
were like,
neighbor-
"What are you doing to that house?"
They had no problem coming up to me and telling me how much they hated that house. And I said, just give it some time.
Yeah,
wait till you see
man.
the finished product, because we whitewashed it and we didn't do the accent pieces yet. We didn't paint everything black and then, put the new gutters on and do
Seal
all that
the
yet
cement,
and seal the
yeah,
cement and
yeah.
do all that stuff. So for a better part of a month, nobody knew what we were doing with the brick. They thought we were leaving like that. We hadn't changed out the front door yet or anything along those lines. So
Yeah, it still looked a mess, just with some white brick.
I would say easily 5 or 6 of the neighbors came over to give us their 2 cents.
To let us know.
How much they hated it and that would ruin this 100-year-old house or whatever it was. And then, since we've been finished, now they're just
Oh, now they want us to like come to their houses and
Yeah.
like they're like, who did the whitewashing? Like, which of your crew members? We're like, oh, really?
yeah. Now you want
Awesome.
now you want it done.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's interesting to see. This is one of the most vocal neighborhoods that we've ever had. Like the neighbors are very involved with what we've been doing and have been pretty excited too about seeing this kind of come together.
Yeah, and this is one of those houses I was talking about that it probably sat for almost 2 years completely vacant. And over time, with decay, with the roof, with a big hole in the roof and leaking in and all the plaster falling off the walls and broken windows and things like that. So on the street, people were very happy to see us come and and fix the house up, but also they wanted to give us their 2 cents on how it should look.
Yeah.
Why we were, I mean, every single day people are coming over, like knocking on the door, like, hey, what are you guys doing in here? What's happening? Where are you putting the bathroom? What, and everybody part of
Like,
it.
oh, stranger.
It was very, I mean, most times we're, nobody really bothers us. We just do our work and whatnot. But lately, for the last few houses, I've been going knocking on doors saying, hey, I'm going to, introducing myself, saying who I am, what's my company. And over the next month, you're going to see a lot of people here, dumpsters, things like that. So if we're making noise or if you have any questions, here's my phone number.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Make everybody
happy,
Yeah.
feel good about what we're doing, that also we're not fly by night flippers where we're just going to come in, throw some paint on the wall and leave, or rent the place out to people who,
aren't going to take care of
aren't
it.
going to
Yeah.
take care of whatever. And then also at the end of the day, I feel like we help improve and help property values.
So I wanted to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
We break the glass ceiling. We, when we're done, our houses are typically the most expensive on the street.
And y'all are not, because that's usually a rule of thumb that I've always heard, like you don't want to have the most expensive, at least not by a large margin, but it doesn't seem to affect y'all because I guess the house is so appealing that nobody has a problem right now buying either over the market value. Well, it's a seller's market, but on top of that, it's above the price of all the other homes.
Yeah.
Well, South City is very diverse. So as long as we're within like a 0.5 to like a mile radius, we can typically get away with it. And what we're doing to these houses is so above and beyond what most people are, how most people are flipping. Like, I mean, like we said, it's basically a brand new house that we are able to, we list the new updates and things we've done on the back, of like the flyers. I mean, it's taking up an entire 8 by 11 piece of paper. So we are able to give enough of a reason for people to pay for it because they know they're never going to have to worry about, or at least for a long time.
Yeah. So
any
whoever,
improvements.
whoever buys our house the next 30, 50 years, they won't have to do anything to it. They will, I mean, some of the plumbing has been there for 100 years. Now our plumbing, all brand new, could honestly stand the test of time. It could
Yeah.
easily be there for 50 years. Absolutely no problem. Only thing people would have to do is change the wall color if they're not happy. And that's about it.
And why would they do that? It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It does.
Why would
It
they change?
does.
Says us.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So like I wanted to, I was doing research to get into my own flip, and I wanted to obviously create as big as margin as possible, but then still make it appealing. But then I've also heard of flippers that spend the money to home stage. How much do you spend usually on staging, and how much of a difference have you seen between not staging and staging?
Oh gosh. I don't think would ever not stage.
Yeah.
It has made the biggest difference. With this house in particular, the amount of people that have reached out to me and just been like, this house is amazing. The staging's, it has been far and wide. I was like, it got shared onto like a worldwide real estate investors page. It was crazy. So, and I know I attribute that to it being a beautiful house, but I think that the staging spoke to a lot of people way beyond what we thought people would, would care about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent on this house, maybe 1,500 on staging, about 1,500 on staging.
But also we go from house to house to house with our staging. So each house we budget about $1,500 for new pieces that we need to purchase. And then also we take from our previous inventory. But let's rewind,
a handful
of houses when we were picking things up, pieces that we had left over in the basement, old bedroom sets, things like that.
Yeah.
It definitely, with the quality of furniture that we put in it too, not that it's all super expensive or anything like that, but it definitely
there's
helps.
Super cheap stuff in there that we've painted that looks pretty.
Oh yeah, it does. We have found dressers on the side of the road before and said, yeah.
We have found mattresses in dumpsters.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day.
That's true. I jumped in a dumpster too, and I took a queen. I saw a perfectly good queen mattress in a dumpster, and I pulled
by a mattress store.
By a mattress store. It was inventory that they
didn't want anymore.
Didn't want anymore, and they threw it in the dumpster. And it was practically brand new.
We're like, hey.
I went in the store and said, hey, are you throwing that away? Is that for? And he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, do you care if I climb in there and get it? He's like, go right ahead. So I got a brand new, perfectly good mattress, for free.
Yeah.
Just all I had to do is climb through garbage.
See? That's all you got to do.
But I'm not proud. I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah, I would have done that too, actually. Would you recommend renting furniture to like for somebody trying to start off that don't have an inventory?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we talked about that too. We used what are they called? What the heck is that place?
Rent-A-Center?
Yeah, Rent-A-Center. Yeah.
We used that for at the beginning, we didn't have the money left over to get appliances. So we used them for appliances to just stage it for months. And then we then bought some to put in later. So it was kind of like backwards, but we ran out of money. We didn't have any money left, So it was
we've maxed out our credit cards more than once. Let's just say that, trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
You budget one thing and then you're over budget by 20%, and then next thing you know, you still have work to do. So that's when
I've heard that. I heard that happens, with flips, and it takes a few times to get it right. And even the ones that are very experienced, they still end up going over budget because, like you said, when you pull that wall back, you don't know what is in there, and then next you know you have extra $5,000, $12,000.
One of our houses we're doing right now, we pulled the walls all down and it's fire damage. So we're like, oh my gosh, no one told us. Like we didn't know anything about that. So now we're replacing a lot more beams, and that's why we were talking about putting an engineered beam. We have to do that all throughout this house because it's lucky it's still standing. It's really bad.
And I found out through a neighbor, I don't even know if I told you this, that a few years ago they condemned the house.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Because somebody decided to take out a support wall, and it's a 2-family home. And then on one of the sides, let's just call it, Unit A, second floor fell 2.5 inches, and so and they
Yeah.
did a repair. They put a Band-Aid on it, to bring it back up to city code. But now we have the pleasure of fixing it the correct way.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just it gives me anxiety thinking about when tell you they took away support wall. You said right?
Yeah. So right there, that fix alone, from my understanding, is going to be between $5,000 and $8,000 that we didn't budget for.
Yeah.
And we always have a contingency,
We always go
but
over
that
it
blows
though. Yeah.
that blows the contingency
Now,
right
I was
there.
just about to ask that too. Like, what's your contingency? Like, is 10 grand your contingency budget?
For the most part, it has been in the past, and it was on this one as well. And we're like, oh well, we won't use that money. It'll be fine. But I
We're
mean,
like,
seriously,
profit.
yeah.
Oh,
After
no.
3.5 weeks, we're
Yeah.
already over budget for this project.
But it's been great because we started with the outside because the city was all backed up on permits. So we couldn't even get into demo. So we started with the outside. We started siding. We started tuck pointing, stuff like that. And the neighbors are already like, thank you so much. Like this house was such an eyesore. And it's a really nice area. There's super nice houses like all around. And that part is like, I like that. It's cool.
Mhm.
Like I love that we can do this for these neighborhoods,
Yeah.
I think it's such a cool,
It's a lot of fun
feature
seeing the
to it.
transformation.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you just went back 2 months ago, if you looked up this property, it was definitely an eyesore. It was sitting on, it's sitting. It's one of those houses. What's the saying? Buying the
worst
worst
street.
worst house on the best street.
Oh yeah.
We got lucky and we found this property.
Yeah.
And we were able to pick it up the same day. There was multiple offers on this property. And
Again, it was like a 1-day thing. I mean, St. Louis was hot this summer, like super hot.
It was 5 or 6 contracts.
No, it was like 9.
Oh, this one was 9.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
was like 9.
let's say there was 9 contracts. We were fortunate enough to go in really strong. We were able to pay all cash for it, which was good. No contingencies whatsoever, and we closed in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Which is why we knew nothing about it and why we didn't know there was fire damage. It's why
sure. Yeah. So maybe if we had done a little bit more due diligence,
we just wanted it.
It was one of those properties. It's like 1 in 100 that you're going to find on that street where it has a ton of value. Just as is right now, we could sell it for more money than we bought it for. Just right now.
Yeah.
So I think we're in good shape.
Yeah.
Even though we're over budget, I think we're in good shape.
I have a similar situation. Mira and I, we own a triplex, and right next to it is a home that looks like a triplex as well. It's got 3 meters, and it has burnt damage. It's completely condemned, and it's owned by a guy that owns. So this is what happened. The background story. It had burnt damage. Somebody left their oven on because they were cold, so it ended up catching on fire. And so the owner used the insurance money to buy a car dealership instead of fixing the house. So I've been sending him letters and messages for months, like, "Hey, look, it's an eyesore." Even the neighbors come to me because they know I own one of the homes over here, and I've been changing that up because it's on the corner.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Hey, like, we really appreciate what you're doing." I'm like, "Hey, you know who owns this? I've been messaging him like, yeah, we know him, and if we could get this off, from him, we would really appreciate it because creates a lot of bad traffic. Like people go back there and sell drugs and stuff. Like it's this 2,500 square foot house with its own standalone garage of just nothingness, and he owns a lot that the lot next to it had a single family home that the city made him turn it down. Even the city's sick of him because when I had the city come and inspect my house for Section 8, they were like, "Yeah, man, like that guy's bad business. Like, don't even deal with him." So it's funny, like how the community will be completely invested in how a street looks, and they just are waiting for somebody to kind of fix it up and make it look better. So I do understand where y'all coming from.
It makes you feel good too. You realize you're doing more than just fixing a house.
And
like
making money.
Yeah. It's a feel good thing for sure.
Yeah, because people want to feel, I guess, safe. They want to feel like when they walk outside, it's like some type of paradise. In this area, it's older people, so like they want to be looked at as something pleasant, not like this haunted house. Yeah.
Oh yeah, ours is a little bit older of a community too, so it's a very similar situation.
And so, with your flipping company, where do y'all see yourselves in the future, like 5 years from now?
Well,
We were just talking about that.
yeah, I know. Honestly, I mean, I would like to see. Well, we used to own rental property. Let's rewind.
Mhm.
10 years ago, we had just a few rental units, and it didn't really go great. We had them for several years. Um, I would like to see us still flipping houses. Hopefully, it becomes more of an autopilot type
Yeah.
situation that we build a team that we could trust, first of all, and that we could keep them busy. And then I would like to see just, you know, 10, 15, I mean, rental properties generating
Well, I think we're
X amount
on
of dollars
that
passive income.
Airbnb, what you were saying, like we've realized the potential for in the city especially.
Yeah.
We've realized how great that could be. Like maybe even not straight rentals, maybe they're all Airbnbs.
Or something like that, where
Yeah.
it's generating revenue, where I'm not actually swinging a hammer anymore,
Yeah.
or going down there and micromanaging everybody. I would like to have income coming in, where it's just
More passive.
more passive,
Right.
where I don't have to be involved in it every single day. That's where I would like to see us in. Well, actually, I would like to see us there in 2 years, but
Of course.
hopefully 5 years. It's
Our,
I think
our
that
goal is
in addition to
2023. But go ahead.
is
sorry.
that yours too? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we could do I would like to, I think we're building the business and it's growing so quickly. I think that, in 5 years, I think we're going to be even busier than we are now, which I think is
hard
super
to believe.
exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting because it's just growing at a pretty rapid rate and people really like what we're doing. And I just think it's awesome. Like we're just so happy that people like what we're doing,
It's
Yeah.
mainly building that team.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of properties going right now, and we have my two brothers that are pretty involved. And so we can't all be at the same property all the time because there's multiples going on and inspections and things like that. So I would just really like to have that core team in
Sure.
where I don't have to worry about every single decision
Mhm.
at every single,
Yeah.
every moment.
Yeah.
I mean, our phones go
cool,
off
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. The cool thing I like about it.
Even harder for you.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Uh-oh. I think we have audio issues.
Can you hear
Nope.
me?
Are you good? Can you hear us? Oh, okay,
hear
there
you.
you go. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
just delayed a little.
It just delayed for a second. Only thing I was saying was it must be really difficult for you because you have to, you're at work, and then after you get off work, you got to go down to the job site or do whatever. And usually it's after the fact that you find out about a problem. So that, I mean,
I got
that's
lucky
created some
actually.
challenges for you.
I got lucky. This recent job, I'm only 3 minutes from my job, so I was able
Oh,
to literally
nice.
get off of work, pretty much jog to the site, and was like, "Hey, this is wrong," and then go back to work. Like so. I got lucky on that one. Yeah, that one was easy.
Well,
But the cool thing, huh?
That is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know he was getting annoyed with me because like I get frustrated because it's like I feel like if I'm paying good money, I don't care what quality of the neighborhood you think it is or the home. If I'm paying the money and it's something we agreed on, then this is what you're supposed to do. I'm really big on that because it's like, hey man, I had to be honest with him, like, hey, I could have did that. Like what you did over there. So it's like these are the expectations. I need you to be here because I need to be done right the first time, and that's it. That way I'm not bothering you. And we know how hard it is sometimes to get a contractor to come back after they've already moved on to another job. It's it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about with the flips that you mentioned earlier was so not only could you, let's say, rent it out and have a rental property, but sometimes maybe it doesn't make sense. Like I would say for like our condo that we have, like let's say the mortgage is 1,500 and we have like a COA fee, but the most in this area I could rent it out for is 1,700. So I'm like, okay, well, let's Airbnb it. Then I'll make $3,300 a month. So sometimes based on what's going on in the market and what type of house you have, it might be better to Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I do feel like with Airbnb, there's less
Wear and tear.
Wear and tear. Yeah. Because people are coming in, they're admiring the house, they're in for a couple of days. Like they're not coming in, they're getting involved. And, you're not having to deal with as much wear and tear for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that
they typically don't have dogs and cats.
right. I think that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Maybe a little.
You're right about that.
Like
You're right about that. Yeah, there's appreciation.
And
I've been in a few nice Airbnbs that's like that. Like, ooh, I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's also so pretty. Like, you're so excited to be there, and it's the same price as a hotel. Like, why the heck wouldn't you stay at this gorgeous Airbnb every time? It's awesome. I love that concept is so frequented now. Like, it's really become.
It's huge.
Yeah, just a regular thing. Where at first it was like, that's weird. This is someone's house.
Yeah,
Yeah, it probably like when it first started. Which, side note, Airbnb is about to be publicly traded soon, so they're actually about to be a stock.
Oh,
I think around January. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah.
Me too. Get in early.
Mike's all about his stocks.
I am.
Oh yeah. A little bit Apple, Tesla, Bitcoin, but we'll see how things go towards January timeframe.
Yeah.
I'm Apple, Snapchat, Twitter, Bitcoin, very, very little Bitcoin, but the little Bitcoin I have, I don't know if you've been watching, it's gone from 10,500 down. Now I think I don't know where it's at today, but it's 17.
I think it's 17. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, I have fractional amount. I have I don't.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I definitely didn't put down 10 grand on it.
Yeah, no, like anything like that. It's just,
but you don't tell people that. You just say I got Bitcoin.
No,
I just.
You guys are on the same.
Yeah.
Really each other.
Oh, so I got I have one last question, and it's I'm pretty sure both of y'all have y'all different separate ways of saying it, but y'all mean the same thing. And it is what is your rich state of mind? What is the why on what do y'all do? What y'all do every day? Y'all are very motivated multitaskers. So what is your big why, rich state of mind?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of thought about it and I thought I had a good idea. I mean, I think I will go back to what we've said a couple times, but I think our future depends on the positivity that surrounds us. I think that the people and the workers and our realty team and everybody that we surround ourselves with on a daily basis is what is creating this company and kind of what makes it successful. So even like we talk about our family or our friends that have like a negative impact or are a toxic personality, cutting that kind of stuff out and just surrounding yourself with positivity makes such a difference in everyday life. I mean, it's really quite amazing how cutting that out can quickly change the outcome of a day, So, I mean, that would probably be how I would feel about it. What about you?
Well, I feel really the same. I guess with my mindset years ago, we used to be like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to buy this house. We're going to renovate it, and we're going to, sell it and make a profit. And just like what Chris was saying, some people were kind of negative about that. They didn't believe us. They didn't think that was even positive, or they just dismissed it as like, oh, sure you are. And they weren't excited for us at all. And then when we did have some early success and where we're headed now and feeling like we're becoming more successful, those people are no longer on our Christmas list. We no longer, we just do our own thing, and we just want to be surrounded by people that value us and they're positive, and they celebrate what we're doing. And that's,
and we found those people, and we have that great core group of people that is positive. And we've realized too that positivity reflects off of us to our children. We want our children to be positive people, so it's definitely a 360. And I think that just comes with learning more about Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Learning more about yourself too. It's a growing up thing, you know? So that has been, I think, our biggest challenge in overcoming, and we're getting there.
Yeah.
I like that positive state of mind.
Yeah.
Trying to be.
Yes.
And so for the audience, can you say name of your company and where everybody can find y'all at? And then I'll put the y'all information in the description of the episode as well.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
The name of the company is Flip STL or Flip St. Louis, because people tend to call it Flip Stole. If they're not from St. Louis, they're like, what's Flip Stole? So we just say Flip St. Louis, and the website is flippingstlouis.com, all spelled out.
Awesome. Do y'all have Facebook, Instagram?
We have our own personal ones, but we haven't taken Flipped to Instagram yet, which I don't know why. I think it's a time thing. We've put like stuff on our own personal page, but we just haven't taken that time, which needs to be a priority, obviously. But
I can relate.
Yeah,
it's a lot sometimes. So we're like, oh, I just want to go to bed.
I know. Most nights it's fall into that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We have a 2-year-old, and she's a handful right now, so that's helpful.